Hey everybody, welcome to ZeitgeistOG. It is Fatman here, and today we are taking a look back at Season 3 of Mayans M.C.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
For those who don't know, the Sons of Anarchy spin-off focuses on the Mayans Motorcycle Club and is set to premiere its 4th season on April 19th. Now obviously Mayans isn't as popular as Sons of Anarchy, but I feel like with this season it's finally starting to come into its own. So many people don't even know that this show exists. Hell, I talked to half a dozen people alone that thought the trailer for the Season 4 premiere was a teaser for the series premiere. Following that, people usually have only one question. Is Mayans any good? Well, I'm here to answer that one for you today. So, Season 1 was a bit of a slow burn that picked up halfway through and finished strong. Season 2 tightened up the writing and the character growth a little bit, and overall was a pretty solid season of TV. If I may be so bold, I think Season 3 is up there with some of the best early moments of Sons of Anarchy. And I feel like if Season 4 can maintain and build that momentum, then Mayans can and will be able to go toe-to-toe with some of Sons of Anarchy's best. So sit back and relax, because we are going episode to episode and breaking this behemoth of a season down. So Season 2 set up a metric ton in terms of story elements. We have Taza killing Riz in order to incite a war with the Vatos Malditos motorcycle club, Coco receiving an injury that causes him to lose 60% of his vision in one eye, Adelita getting pregnant with Angel's child and subsequently getting arrested at the end of the season, the revelation of Dita Galindo being the one that put the hit on the Reyes' family matriarch and had her murdered, Miguel being the son of Felipe and half-brother to Angel and Easy, Easy murdering Dita Galindo and becoming a full-patch member of the MC, the Mayans gunning down the literal entirety of the Vatos Malditos motorcycle club at a party, and the entire season culminates with a cliffhanger that leads the MC in not finding Pablo's body, but instead finding the body of an unknown Sons of Anarchy member. Jesus, that is a lot of story beats to answer heading into Season 3. So as FX greenlit a 3rd season, excitement grew, and then tragedy struck, in true fashion. After the Disney-Fox merger went through, it was decided that Kurt Sutter, creator, producer, writer, pretty much everything for both Sons of Anarchy and Mayans' services, would no longer be needed. And he was promptly fired. Sutter had announced previous to this that come Season 3 anyway, he was going to relinquish control to his showrunner, Elgin James. But the fact that Sutter was promptly fired and not going to be involved at all had quite a few people wondering whether Season 3 of Mayans would even be worth the watch. In another hot take, I will say that Kurt Sutter getting fired and Elgin James taking control was probably the best possible thing that could have happened for the future of this show. I have a lot of respect for Kurt Sutter, and I like Sutter. He's proven himself to be a capable writer and showrunner. However, he was starting to repeat cliches and tropes that made some of Sons of Anarchy's worst moments pretty bad, and they were starting to crop up in Mayans. And I fear that if he would have stayed on for Season 3, we would have seen an increase in those. Elgin James takes this show into such a fresh perspective and really brings this world and these characters to life. So without further ado, let's get into this. So Episode 1, Pap struggles with the Death Angel. So one minor note I'll make off the bat is that the theme song sucks now. Really, that's a minor gripe and not as important as the quality of the story, but David Hidalgo's Nunca was a great opener, and now we have some Narcos-style pretentious still imagery that hammers home the points of immigration and revolution and so on. So it's worth noting that I enjoyed this season during my original viewing a lot, but the brilliance of it all didn't really shine completely through until I rewatched it for this video. We open with Coco crushing pills and receiving hints that he's been stealing and selling his daughter Leticia's things for drugs. This is a major arc that's done incredibly throughout this season, and I couldn't care less about awards and such for actors, but I will say that Richard Cabral should win something for his portrayal of Coco this season. Similar to many other moments this season, this is raw, emotional, and real. We learn that there was an off-screen border shutdown that has thrown the town of Santo Padre into disarray, both affecting the Galindo's new agro-park development as well as the Mayans' heroin trading, as the club is now moving almost 70% less than they used to. We're introduced to a new prospect named Steve, portrayed beautifully by Momo Rodriguez, and we get our first, "What the fuck, Steve?" moment as he sends an armful of full beer shattering across the floor. We later see that Miguel and Emily's relationship is struggling, but that Gabby and Easy are flourishing, and damn it, Gabby and Easy are so stinking cute together that I'm all for it. They have so much on-screen chemistry that you're never just slogging through it like you did when they were still, for whatever reason, trying to tease Easy and Emily in the earlier seasons. We also see Angel having on and off hookup sessions with the clubhouse bartender Stephanie, also known as Nails. We find out that the dead Sons of Anarchy member was a random nobody that we've never met, but was a cousin of Alessandro Montez, road captain of the Redwood Charter. So many people were furious about this, but I was a huge fan of this move. Think about it logically. If you're a fan of Sons of Anarchy, would you have really been satisfied if that dead Sons of Anarchy member wound up being Tig? Or Chibs, or Happy?
What kind of names is Chibs?
Chibs is Scottish.
He's a Chibley fella.
Would you have been happy if some beloved Sons of Anarchy character got a shitty, off-screen death in the spin-off series?
I'd be ecstatic.
Sorry.
I understand that fans felt cheapened by a season-ending cliffhanger that ultimately led to a completely unknown character's death. But this death isn't about who was dead. It's about the consequences of that death and what could it mean. Mayans and Sons haven't been on good terms for very long. As a matter of fact, we saw that development happen in the 3rd or 4th season of Sons of Anarchy. This peace pact is a relatively new thing. This could easily reignite that hatred and spark a war between the clubs. This, in short, was about consequences, a theme that radiates masterfully throughout these 10 episodes. We also see Palo, still alive and well, moving through the border, murdering patrols and stealing cop cars. Finally, we arrive at the meeting of the 3 Mayan kings, 3 head honchos designated to equally rule over the entire Mayan organization to keep one man from having too much power. And each king was designated by none other than the motorcycle club's founder, Marcus Alvarez, who now serves as Galindo's consigliere. I think I said that right? Consigliere?
Concierge?
That's the American butchering of it, but yeah. So we have Ramos, president of the Stockton Charter, Canche, president of the Yuma Charter, and of course our boy Bishop, president of the Santo Padre Charter, all meet with their crews intact. Canche and Ramos demand Santo Padre double the heroin they're bringing in and threaten to sever the club from their ranks, bringing up the lucrative gun deal that Santo Padre forfeited when they attacked the Vatos Malditos. Bishop and company essentially tell the pair to go f*** themselves, and we are off to an amazingly tense start. Episode 2, The Orneriness of Kings, kicks off with the return of Los Olvidados, and I apologize in advance if I am butchering the ever-loving crap out of a lot of these pronunciations. The organization of orphaned rebels that was previously run by Adelita. We find out that remnants of the defeated Lobos Sonora cartel, longtime rivals of the Galindo cartel, have reformed as the LNG, Lobos Nueva Generacion. Governor Palomo is revealed to be having an affair with Miguel, and we get our first shot of Felipe, finally waking up as he spent the previous episode in bed. Adelita is released from prison and returns to Los Olvidados to find her right hand, Minnie, is gone. Something that ruins her emotionally due to her and Minnie always kind of sharing a mother-daughter relationship. And after losing her child in prison, this cripples her. After firing housekeeper Maria in the previous episode, Emily is surprised to find her sister Erin at her house, hired by Miguel to help the family out, and I have to say, Erin, played by Holland Roden, is an absolute delight. She steals every single scene she's in and excels at dividing the role between laugh out loud hilarious and seriousness. Coco, on the hunt for more drugs, decides to take a trip up to Meth Mountain, a convoy of addicts led by a man named Butterfly and his right-hand man, Isaac. After a failed robbery, Coco is beaten and captured, and seconds before Isaac pulls the trigger, he is recognized by Hope before being knocked out. Later on, Miguel brutally murders Paco, shifting the blame on him for his mother's death, which Miguel still believes to be a suicide at this point. Ibarra, the president of the Tucson Mayan Charter, arrives at the Santo Padre clubhouse, and Bishop and Easy reveal their one king plan. which involves making Tucson the new conduit for the heroin trade and leaving them solely responsible for distribution in Arizona, which would successfully ice Ramos and Conche out, leaving Bishop the sole king. These pair of episodes do an extraordinary job of settling us back in and introducing the One King plan and Coco's addiction, which drives a lot of this season. James also does a wonderful job of helping us get to know the members of the club, as when Sutter was showrunning this, the attention was divided between a sleep-inducing subplot of the Galindo family's property acquisitions and just a few members of the club, namely Easy, Angel, and Coco. I know more about Creeper, Hank, and the non-Santo Padre club members in 2 episodes than I did in 2 seasons, and I love it. Mind you, we're not talking mind-boggling character growth for these underplayed members, at least not yet, but they're making appearances and getting dialogue, which is a lot more than they got previously. They're all terrific actors as well, and I wish we could have seen what Antonio Jeremiah as Riz would have brought to the table under Elgin James's showrunning. Episode 3, Overreaching Don't Pay. Does not, kids. So we open with Coco coming to consciousness after being knocked out. Can I ask you guys something too? I struggled with this for so long. Is being injected with heroin, like, what do they call it when somebody's like forcefully
Shooting up.
Is it shooting? Being, should I say shot up instead of injected?
Is it
injected
against
always
your will?
Yeah, like injected always sounded weird to me.
Injecting heroin.
Like he does it on his own accord later on, but this first thing was like, it was a setup to kind of get him hooked on heroin.
Shooting up against his will, I guess?
Okay, alright.
They inject him with heroin.
I'm gonna go with that. I don't know, injecting sounded weird.
It sounds too clinical.
Yeah.
What's the street slang for it?
Like you don't get like a heroin injection, you shoot up.
Yeah.
I mean, injection, like, shooting up is
correct.
It's like, it just sounds like this, maybe there's a term for it, but I don't know.
Alright, I'm gonna go with shooting up. It's not said very many times in the script, but
Or they make him take heroin.
So we open with Coco, coming to consciousness after being knocked out, being shot up with heroin by Hope. He is finally confronted by Isaac, played by J.R. Bourne, who again is an absolute delight. I can't stress how great these new characters are. I adore how well of a job this season is doing with these newbies. Through the season, Isaac is a cocktail of anger and sadness and high tense emotion with bits of savage hilarity and depravity thrown in there. He's a hilarious sadist. It's such a treat to watch. So Coco flees Meth Mountain, shaken and broken by a promise he made to his mother as a child that he wouldn't venture down the same junkie path she had. Easy and Bishop deduce that they'll need about 250 keys of heroin to pull the trigger on the One King plan, and Bishop sets a meeting with Alvarez, who says he can get them their heroin by tonight and is proud of Bishop, believing Bishop is setting his ego aside to work with Conche and Ramos. Easy and Angel arrive on a construction site owned by Galindo to secure the heroin from a man named Juan Denver, who, gosh darn it, is another delightful new character who speaks exclusively in John Denver quotes. Meanwhile, Happy and Montez of the Sons of Anarchy Redwood Charter make a stop over at the Santo Padre Charter to deliver a warning that comes all the way from Chibs. Happy reveals he's running the Purdue Charter while Packer is dealing with his cancer treatments and demands the Mayans give them a call whenever they ride through any Sons of Anarchy turf. Montez delivers a cryptic line about actions having consequences. When asked what actions those may be, he answers with, I don't know, a couple dozen dead Mexicans, and speaks about the disrespect intended toward Jax Teller's final wishes. This prompts Steve to ask, who's Jax Teller? To which Gilly replies, who gives a f***? I really like that moment. So many people were so fucking salty about that when that happened. They're like, he was the hero of Sons of Anarchy.
He matters to me!
And I'm like, I appreciated the balls of the OG getting fired, and this guy takes up the new raids, and he's like, first thing we're gonna shout out, Jax Teller. No one gives a fuck about you.
That
Elaborate on that.
No, I won't.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
refuses to elaborate.
But it makes sense. Why would these guys know? They hated the Sons for so long, and Santo Padre and Charming are like, we never get an actual distance, but they're supposed to be super far apart. And since we're on the subject, this episode's what the fuck, Steve moment comes from Steve dropping a tower of drinking glasses, sending them crashing after cleaning them and stacking them upside down for whatever reason, claiming that this is the only way to remove water spots. Way to go, Steve. The club regroups and heads over to Vicky's place in order to load the heroin through her tunnel system, which navigates from under and over the border. Vicky is disgruntled and angry at the club, blaming them for the death of her nephew, Riz. She reluctantly agrees to let them use her tunnel system, and things appear to be going well until Gilly spots Border Patrol heading their way. The club scrambles to get the heroin back into the tunnels as Steve buys them some time by driving a truck to head off Border Patrol, leading to his arrest. With the plan ruined and the heroin sitting in the tunnels, Hank reminds Bishop that due to this screw-up, it's only a matter of time before Alvarez and Concha and Ramos find out that they're all being double-crossed. Coco returns to Meth Mountain and Hope sets him up so Isaac can take pictures of Coco using drugs. Bishop is seen drunk and lounging outside of Mayor Pena's house before being invited in, and Easy and Gabby share their first kiss. Angel and Nail shack up for the night, but are interrupted by the abrupt arrival of Adelita. Episode 4, Our Gang's Dark Oath, sees Angel and Adelita finally reconnecting after her Season 2 arrest. She reveals to him that their child is dead. Bishop is seen waking up inside of Mayor Pena's home and being confronted by her wife. So we've been getting these little teases in the form of things like, oh, I know what week it is, or I know how hard this time of year is, all directed towards Bishop, whose drinking and erratic behavior have been increasing as the season goes on. We finally learn that Bishop and Pena were previously married and had a child named Aiden together who passed away at the age of 3. Gabby and Easy face their first hurdle as well. After Gabby tries to get intimate, Easy is disturbed by flashbacks of his time in prison and his murder of Dita, and Gabby explains that she'd really like Easy in her life, but it doesn't appear he has time for her right now. I guess no relationship is winning out in this episode. On a lighter note, Felipe finally reopens the butcher shop and hires Gabby to help him clean up and to keep him company. The bond they form throughout the season is really interesting, as we've never really seen Felipe interact with anybody else outside of Easy and Angel. Gabby reminds him of his late wife, and Felipe eventually goes from annoyance to damn near reverence of her. Governor Palomo arrives on a murder scene and finds 3 of her associates lynched by the LNG. When speaking to Miguel about this, he refers to them as the unfortunate collateral of what they do. And furious about this, Palomo ends their affair and kicks him out of her life. We catch back up with Palo, who is meeting with Montez, angry about his refusal to act against the Mayans. Montez tells Palo to sit tight and that he has a plan that will avoid causing a Mayan and Sons of Anarchy war. To which Palo responds by killing him.
Pablo responds, wow, we just averted an awesome crossover.
That kid's lucky he died when he did, because he was going to get bullied relentlessly, being called Gaiden.
It's terrible. Also, this doesn't avoid that. This escalates it, if anything.
Oh, okay. I don't know shit about this show. It just sounded like they're trying to avoid a crossover.
No, this definitely escalates it.
Is it an actual crossover?
I mean, it's this... The show is set in the same universe. Would you?
No. I mean a crossover event like that CW Batwoman.
Oh no, none of the Sons of Anarchy actors are gonna do this show. Besides these,
Okay.
The ones that have popped up are pretty much, they're big characters, but they're not like the top dog characters.
That makes sense.
Like Chibs, Tig, those are like the huge guns, and they're just Chibs appeared once in season 2, and he said he's never coming back, and Tig said he's definitely not coming back. Unless they give him a full arc. He doesn't want to do like an appearance or two. He wants says
actual story.
Yeah, if they bring me on board for a full story, I'll do it. But...
Okay. Yeah, no, I was talking about a full-on crossover event.
Oh yeah, no, you're seeing Sons of Anarchy guys, but they're other charters. They're not the one we followed in the show.
Oh, okay.
So you're seeing a lot of familiar faces, but they were never like a major presence on the show. Outside of Happy. Happy is definitely the biggest character because he was there for all 7 seasons of the original run.
Oh shit.
What a gay name.
He calls himself that because every time he kills somebody, he gets a happy face tattoo on his... Now, I wouldn't say Montez was a beloved Sons of Anarchy character by any means, but he did debut in Season 6 of the original show, and to kill him off in Season 3 of a spin-off show is a pretty ballsy move. And one that I think was written as a planned response to the fact that the dead Sons of Anarchy member at the Season 2 finale was an unknown character. That's beautifully executed in my book and really ramps up how much of a threat Palo is all on his own. Back at the clubhouse, Isaac and Butterfly show up and confront Coco, blackmailing him with pictures of him using drugs, which, if shown to the rest of the club, would get Coco kicked out. Isaac demands Coco steal a brick of heroin from the club lest he show Bishop the pictures. And Gilly, who has been covering for Coco's drug use, catches Coco using and finally severs their tie, telling him that they are done. After holding a meeting and deducing that someone ratted the club out to Border Patrol, Steve is tasked to pick up Vicky and bring her back to the clubhouse. Vicky tries to escape through the tunnels and runs into Taza and Creeper, who have been guarding the heroine. Taza shoots her in the head and heads back to the clubhouse to find Montez's dead body laid out on his bike. Episode 5. Dark, Deep Laid Plans. It serves as our halfway point, and it establishes a great many things going forward, as well as setting the tone for the rest of the season to come. We open with Taza hiding Montez's body in a salt barrel and setting forth to meet with Laura, Paulo's sister. Angel proposes to Adelita and leaves his mom's ring on the table for her, telling her to just think about it. Miguel discovers a photo of his mother with Felipe and confronts the old man, who surprisingly tells him that he was in love with Dita. Miguel is stunned by the news, and after asking if his mother reciprocated Felipe's feelings, he says she was always loyal to your father. Felipe's way of telling Miguel he's his son without saying it. The LNG arrive at Juan Denver's site and kill him, burning down the heroin and destroying Galindo's construction site. Alvarez and Nestor later investigate the area, deducing that burning the heroin was a flex to show that the LNG doesn't need it, and that this wasn't a random attack, but a warning shot. And the club sets forth to execute their biggest plan yet, the Bridge over the River Kwai move, which involves building a bridge over the border wall and jumping the bridge to get the heroin from the Mexican side to the American side, all before Border Patrol can catch on. Gilly refuses to work with Coco, calling him a liability, so Easy volunteers to take Coco with him to run point on the operation. The ramps come up just a little bit too short, with Angel asking Bishop, "When was the last time you guys did this?" Bishop's response, "I don't know. When was the last year Bush was in office?" Easy formulates a quick plan to fix this, and the move succeeds, lending this episode's "What the fuck, Steve?" moment to Hank saying, "You didn't up." Good for Steve. The tarp on the truck comes loose, and Coco uses this opportunity to steal a brick. The drop off to Ibarra goes smoothly, and Easy and Coco return to the clubhouse. Coco immediately beelines for Meth Mountain, and Easy heads for his father's shop to try and patch things over with Gabby. Adelita shaves her head and leaves Angel's ring behind, while Ibarra returns to the Tucson clubhouse to find Conche waiting there for him. The episode closes with Easy driving Gabby home in Felipe's truck. He stops for some funnel cake when a Stockton Mayan comes out of nowhere and engages Easy in a fight. A gunshot is heard, and Easy jumps back into the truck and speeds off while our unknown Mayan gets hit by an oncoming van. Easy parks and inspects Gabby to make sure she's okay when she discovers that it's Easy who's been shot in the stomach. Now, what's been aired in these last 5 episodes almost feels like a season's worth on its own. We've seen the fruition of the Mayans' plan and the execution of it all, as well as a multitude of interesting story threads that have been weaving themselves in and out all season long. This, for me at least, was the true turning point of the season where everything going forward becomes about consequence. The penalties and the price the club has to pay going forward for turning against all of their brothers and trying to undermine the entirety of the Mayans Motorcycle Club. Also, they can selfishly stay at the head of the pack. We see many resolutions and many more problems come forth, so I'm going to give you a second to process everything you've just heard. Alright, we good? Let's do this. Episode 6, You Can't Pray a Lie. So this episode was, in my opinion, the season's first clunker episode when it aired. At least, that's how I felt at first. When you're watching week by week and you're waiting with bated breath and a slower, more nuanced episode airs without any of the craziness, you feel kinda robbed. It wasn't until I sat down and rewatched this season that I truly came to appreciate this episode and its place in the bigger picture. The full truth about Bishop's family is revealed via a dream. We see that Pena was involved in a car wreck that killed their young son. Bishop then receives a phone call telling him about Easy, and he heads to the hospital, where we learn a Stockton Mayan by the name of Flaco is responsible for Easy getting shot. It leads to one of my favorite lines in the season, where Angel says, "How come Flaco gets a full room and you're stuck in this ghetto?" And Easy goes, "Because he got the worst of it. I took a bullet, he took a Scooby-Doo van." Angel then attempts to kill the Stockton Mayans in full view of everyone at the hospital, only to discover that Alvarez has stationed Nestor to guard the Stockton crew. Bishop directs Easy to take Gabby and get out of town while they formulate a plan. Easy agrees and returns to pack when Emily arrives on the scene. She embraces Easy and spots Gabby, seemingly surprised that Easy is dating someone. We then return to Meth Mountain to see that Coco and Hope are starting to form a relationship, and we open on them having sex, afterwards talking about their troubled drug-filled pasts. Miguel confronts Palomo and accuses her of making a backdoor deal with the LNG, which she responds to by publicly shaming him. And now here's a nitpick I just can't ignore. Just because I'm a fat dork on the internet doesn't mean I enjoy nitpicking things or finding flaws in things, but this one was really, really hard to ignore. So we're following Easy and Gabby as they ride around and see the churches and riding a billion miles and the like. But two things bother me about this entire scenario. So, number one, Easy got shot less than 24 hours ago and was said to have lost a gallon of blood. A gallon. That's not a guess, they say that. And is still somehow comfortable getting on his motorcycle and riding around everywhere. And number two, at some point, Easy and Gabby are inside of a church when Gabby tells Easy that it's been 4 hours, so it's time to change his bandages. And rather than stay inside of the church, they decide to go outside in the windy, sand-swept ass parking lot. I'm sorry, that's fucking dumb.
You don't enjoy sand in your wounds?
He literally said this man lost a gallon of blood. He's like, hey, just get on. Can you ride? No. Even Angel goes, no, we can't ride.
Favorite places blow with tequila. or heroin, or meth. Probably meth. You got it from the mountain.
Coco's the only one doing drugs. Everyone else is good.
You don't lose a gallon of blood and keep going like that without doing drugs.
Somehow. Anyway, they finally make it to the beach. Gabby having previously said she's never seen the ocean, and they finally smash. I really, really enjoy the parallel of relationships in this season. Usually if it's going well for somebody, then it's going pretty terrible for another character. And on the other hand, if it's going too well for somebody, that means something bad's about to happen. Back at Meth Mountain, Isaac instructs Coco to steal 3 more keys of heroin, or he'll kidnap Hope and light her on fire. Jesus. Adelita tracks down Minnie, and Peña reveals to Bishop that she and her wife are moving out of Santo Padre and she needs his signature on the paperwork for the home, as his name is still on the lease. He reluctantly signs and tells Peña that it should have been her. Anyone but him. Which she responds, why do you choose to be miserable? Bishop retorts with, why are you constantly trying to forget? And this leads to one of the best back and forths in the season. Peña responds with, forget, every morning I wake up and the first thought is, it should have been me. If it weren't for my wife, I would have put a gun in my mouth. She taught me I could honor Aiden's memory by living. Am I so wrong for choosing to live? As he signs over the paperwork, Bishop replies with, yeah, you are, and you should have put a gun in your mouth. In our closing scene, we see the Stockton Mayans released from the hospital, followed by Nestor. Angel and Gilly roll up on them and murder both Mayans. Easy wakes up on the beach next to Gabby with a text from Angel simply stating, we're going to war. Episode 7, What Comes of Handling Snakeskin. With a Mayan civil war approaching and tensions high with the Sons of Anarchy, Santo Padre decides to hold up in a hotel located in Oakland and spend their time beating the ever-loving snot out of the Stockton Mayan members, as well as destroying all their businesses in an attempt to flush out Ramos, who's gone into hiding. Bishop is confronted by Diaz, the president of the Oakland Charter and co-founder of the entire Mayans motorcycle club. He questions Bishop's motif, but ultimately agrees to help him flush Ramos out of hiding. Back at the Los Olvidados hideout, Adelita returns and confronts Pablo. She learns that rampant drug use has occurred and that the boys have been getting away with pressuring the girls into sex and even raping them at points. Pablo tries to explain to Adelita that things spiraled out of control when she left and he had to recruit and hold onto whomever he could. He tells her he loves her and Adelita responds with a knife to his gut, killing him and reclaiming Los Olvidados. While Creeper and Steve are prepping the van for an assault on Ramos, Creeper gives Steve a gun and instructs him to put it in his waistband and not his pocket lest he shoots his dick off. When out of nowhere, Stockton Mayans flood the hotel and start brawling. Creeper takes a pipe to the face and Steve is chased down and beaten by 4 men. Ramos also arrives on the scene and a huge Mayan versus Mayan brawl takes over the entirety of the hotel. Diaz reveals to Bishop that he's double-crossed them and Santo Padre needs to answer for killing Flaco and attacking the Stockton Mayans. Steve, in all the chaos, accidentally shoots and kills a member of Stockton and the cops arrive on the scene. Santo Padre is able to flee, but Creeper refuses to let Pavia, an ally from Tucson, go to jail with the Stockton Mayans alone, so he returns and takes the fall with him. Officer O'Grady, our crooked police chief from Season 2, arrives on the scene and, surveying the long line of handcuffed Mayans, picks Ramos out and says he's wanted for questioning. Smirking at Creeper and Pavia, Ramos boasts that he owns this town and that they'll both be dead in hours. As they leave the scene, Ramos instructs O'Grady to pull over and uncuff him, then go back to free the rest of his guys. O'Grady agrees when Easy arrives out of nowhere and blows Ramos's brains out. O'Grady revealed to have been working with Santo Padre to bury some blackmail they had on him. Easy instructs O'Grady to return and keep Pavia and Creeper safe. Coco, absent from all the hotel shenanigans, returns home and is confronted by Leticia, who reveals that she knows he's using. He refutes her help and she screams that she hopes he ODs and dies before storming out. Guess how this episode ends. Shortly after, Hope arrives with a fix for Coco and they both get high, and Letty returns to find an OD'd and unresponsive Coco lying on the couch. Episode 8, a mixed up and splendid rescue. We approach the home stretch and we open on Hope successfully reviving Coco, both agreeing that they need to band together and get clean. Nails is revealed to be pregnant with Angel's kid, and we see Hank assuring her that she's not alone and she won't face this alone, and he's here for her, and this big dumbass is getting feelings for Nails. Easy, having enjoyed the time he's been spending with Gabby's family, tries to set a similar brunch up with his family. And this is no exaggeration, this is one of the most uniquely tense and awkward scenes I have ever seen in my life. I can throw out lines and quotes and portions from it, but it really has to be watched for the full effect. If you could die of secondhand embarrassment, I would have dropped. Excellent work, and it completely overshadows that the Reyes' family brunch was the entire point of it, was made to reveal that Gabby was accepted in the nursing school in Lodi. So Miguel finally accepts a call from the medical examiner, something he's been neglecting all season long, and finds out that his mother's death might not have been a suicide at all. The examiner clues him into the fact that she may have been strangled to death due to the throat collapse and markings around her neck. Miguel confronts the fired housekeeper Maria at her home, and she reveals to Miguel that his mother was terrified of Emily and was instructed by Dita, should anything happen to her, to inform Miguel that his wife was involved with something with the Reyes family. Nestor reveals to Miguel that there were motorcycle tracks at the site of his mother's death, tracks that Alvarez had purposely covered in the Season 2 finale. Back at the clubhouse, Ibarra arrives and says that Conche had stripped him of his patch, while the club sits down with Solis, the president of the Sahurita Charter, who allies with Santo Padre and says he will try to throw his charter's support behind Bishop. Laura arrives and visits Taza, and we finally get the full backstory of Laura and Paulo's younger brother David, or David as they pronounce it. So when David was younger, he and Taza were in a secret relationship, and Laura was the one who told Paulo about this, being confused as a young child by the concept of two men. Paulo's response was to slit his baby brother's throat to spare their mother finding out, and has since wanted to kill Taza for tearing his family apart. Later that night, Nails reveals to Angel that she's pregnant, fearing his reaction, but Angel is thrilled, viewing this baby as his second chance. Miguel and Emily are having sex again, during which Miguel begins to choke Emily, contemplating killing her on the spot and grappling with the fact that she may have had something to do with his mother's death. We see Paulo infiltrate the LNG base and ask for a meeting with their leader, El Banquero. Banquero dismisses Paulo quickly until Paulo offers the kingpin Galindo's territory. Gabby and Easy are seen getting ice cream when a couple of younger guys start harassing Gabby. She tells Easy to walk away, and he responds by beating the ever-loving out of the both of them. Gabby tries to pull him off when Easy accidentally elbows her right in the face, closing with the police intervening and Easy being arrested. Episode 9. The House of Death floats by. Alright, boys and girls, here we go, and from this point onward, this show does not slow down, so try to keep up. Paulo arranges a meeting between El Banquero and Conche, proposing that the Galindo-Santa Padre heroin pipeline should be cut, and that Yuma should ally with the LNG, successfully removing Galindo from the picture and reverting all of his territories to the LNG. Conche asks Paulo what he seeks in return, and Paulo responds with his desire to patch into Yuma as a member of the Mayans and help them wipe Santo Padre from the face of the planet. Emily and Aaron have a tense discussion, with Aaron noticing the bruises on Emily's neck. Emily sees it as kinky roleplay gone a little too far and is just happy at her revamped sex life. Aaron says that she's literally being strangled by her psychopath husband. After a tense shouting match, Aaron is fired and leaves the Galindo household. Miguel holds a meeting with his crew, and Nestor feigns ignorance of Alvarez covering the bike tracks. saying he's only bringing this up now because he was scared of what bike tracks at the site of Dita's death could mean. Miguel then tests Alvarez to kill Easy, claiming he's always been unsure about where Alvarez's true loyalties lie. Angel picks up Easy from jail, who promptly goes to Gabby's house to apologize. She breaks up with him, telling him she's chosen to go to Lodi and attend nursing school. When Easy claims he did what he did to protect her, Gabby retorts that it wasn't about her. They were stupid kids saying stupid things. I fled Mexico to escape this kind of violence. If I let it back into my life now, I'm breaking a promise I made to that scared little girl who came to this country looking to live without fear. Coco wakes and Letty reveals that she saw Hope pack her things and leave in the middle of the night. Coco, worried that Isaac will hurt Hope, flees to Meth Mountain as Letty begs him not to choose Hope over her. Coco promises he won't get high and is solely going to bring Hope back. Coco arrives and is incapacitated by Isaac. Coco is then gagged and bound and routinely beaten and shot up with heroin by Isaac and Butterfly. Hank calls an emergency meeting and Easy arrives late, and Steve begs Easy for a minute of his time. Steve reveals to Easy that he's been tortured by flashbacks of the Mayan he killed and says he can't stop thinking about that man's family. Easy, heartbroken and angry, shouts at Steve to just put it away. This is what we are, this is what we do. Everything else is a f***ing lie. Bishop requests a day of rest while they formulate a plan to kill Conche, and they throw a massive party as Creeper and Pavilla are released from prison. During the party, Angel announces his engagement to Nails, much to Hank's dismay. Bishop and Hank announce that the club has officially voted Coco out and voted Steve in after only 4 months of prospecting. While the Mayans celebrate, Miguel is seen pampering Emily with a rose petal bath and wine and shoulder rubs and all that good stuff. After going to refill her wine, he crushes 5 or 6 Xanax pills into Emily's glass and serves it to her. As she begins to tell him something doesn't feel right, she loses consciousness as Miguel submerges her underwater and walks away. After a couple of minutes spent grappling with himself, Miguel rushes back to the bathroom and pulls Emily from the water, forcing her to throw up and profusely apologizing while he gets her dressed. Way to go. Meanwhile, members of Los Olvidados are seen attacking Palomo at a press conference. As she rushes into a bathroom while her security team tries to capture the assailants, Adelita arrives out of nowhere and guns down the remaining security guarding Palomo. Palomo pleads with Adelita as Adelita reveals she won't kill her, only to have Minnie stab Palomo about 17 times. Adelita and Minnie escape after assassinating Palomo, and Adelita tells Minnie that the next part of the plan has to be done alone. They embrace, and Adelita designates Minnie as the new leader of Los Olvidados. Laura walks into her home to find Palo, fully patched as a member of the Yuma Mayans. He says that they have a lot of catching up to do as we pan back over to the Santo Padre clubhouse in full party mode. Everyone is swapping stories and laughing except for Steve. What the other members took as his complete shock at being patched in is really disappointment, and the fact that Steve can't accept that he'll have to kill people. He looks over at Easy and says, "I'm sorry, Easy. I just can't put it away," before putting a gun in his mouth and blowing his brains out. What the f***, Steve? As everyone grapples with Steve's suicide, Easy takes off right for Gabby's home. She begs him not to make this harder than it needs to be, and Easy shouts, "Let me go with you. I choose you." Episode 10, Chapter the Last, Nothing Left to Write. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with me to the end of this video because this is one hell of a finale. Easy wakes up next to Gabby and tells her he just has a few loose ends to tie up with the club before they can go, and Emily wakes up to an empty bed, beginning to slowly piece together what happened to her last night, spotting some residue in her empty wine glass and noticing her pills are in a different drawer than she left them. Adelita confronts Linares, who she spares, and Linares gives up the location of Lincoln Potter, who's been on leave all season. Easy, Angel, and Gilly are seen camped outside a lube shop owned by Conche. One of their bartenders goes in undercover and plants a bomb in the shop as the crew waits for Conche to arrive and detonate it. To Angel's shock, Conche arrives with his young son in hand. Gilly and Easy want to continue with the plan, but Angel exclaims that he's not killing a kid today.
Guess he's not kidding around.
Gilly rations that as long as the kid doesn't get too close to the car, he should be fine, but Angel doesn't want to take that risk. Seeing no other option, Easy decides to get up close to the shop and make sure the kid is safe. Easy is spotted by Conche and has no choice but to set off the explosion, successfully detonating the shop and killing everyone inside. Back at the clubhouse, Hank receives confirmation that Conche is dead. Bada sets a meeting with Diaz and the other presidents seeking to get reinstated, and Easy decides to tell Angel that, now that Conche and Ramos are dead, He's leaving the club and going to Lodi with Gabby. They have a beautiful heart-to-heart, and Angel tells Easy he'll tell the rest of the club on his behalf. Easy begins to pack when a frazzled Emily arrives, saying that she's in trouble. She notices Easy pack and laments that he wasn't going to say goodbye to her. He recalls a story he used to read to her and tells him that she believes there was a misinterpretation of their cards, and that they were meant to be together before she f***ed it up. She urges him to go have his happy ending. Finally, Leticia shows up and confides in Gilly that something may be wrong with Coco, as he never returned from Meth Mountain. He refuses to help her and tells her since Coco is no longer a member of this club, she can't show up unannounced, and turns her away. Gabby arrives at Felipe's shop to say goodbye and wait for Easy so they can tell Felipe the good news together. Alvarez and Nestor arrive as well and wait for their chance to kill Easy. Gabby caves and tells Felipe the news, who is surprisingly angry about it. He tells Gabby that she's trying to save Easy, the same way Metasol tried to save him, but men like he and Easy cannot be saved, and they'll drag down good people. He urges her to leave without Easy in a scene that's honestly absolutely heartbreaking. Easy arrives and learns that Felipe prompted Gabby to leave, and then Easy promptly flees the shop and finds a farewell note left for him on Gabby's door. During all this, Alvarez has multiple opportunities to take the shot, but refuses, telling Nestor that they've finally seen where my loyalties lie. Nestor says Miguel is his family, and Alvarez says Easy is his. Nestor holds Alvarez at gunpoint and threatens to kill him and then do the same to Easy. Potter finally makes contact with Miguel and informs him that the murder of Governor Palomo is being pinned on Galindo and that federal agents are on their way to seize all Galindo property on both sides of the border and arrest Miguel. Miguel calls Emily and warns her and tells her to rendezvous with him at an unknown location that will house a helicopter to get them to safety. Potter is then in for his own surprise when his wife sends him to the market for fresh produce. He returns to find his wife and son missing, and Adelita in their place. She threatens to kill him for taking her son when he reveals that her son is in fact still alive. Think about it, he says. Why would I let the only leverage I have on you expire? Ibarra meets with Diaz and the other Mayan presidents, telling them that Bishop wants peace, like they all want, now that Conche and Ramos are out of the picture. Diaz agrees and brings out Ibarra's cut. As he's putting it back on Ibarra, Conche sidles in, revealed to have survived the explosion. As Diaz slips Ibarra's cut back on, he yells, "Your peace pack," before putting a bullet in Ibarra's head. Laura calls Taza and says Pablo paid her a visit the other night. Terrified, she requests a gun. Taza arrives with gun in hand, and Pablo is revealed to be waiting for him. He leads Taza into the living room at gunpoint, and a fight erupts. As Pablo gains the upper hand, Laura fires the gun, finally killing Pablo. She screams at Taza to get out of her life for good. Takes the cut from Pablo's back and leaves. As a great many plot points are being resolved or expanded on, the episode enters its final chunk, and is it a good one. Nestor and Alvarez are revealed to be watching the news, seeing all Galindo assets being seized while ignoring Miguel's phone calls. The helicopter pilot tells Miguel that they have to go before the feds arrive. Miguel refuses to leave without Emily. The security guard in charge of Emily arrives on the scene. I'm sorry, they never gave this guy a name. I have no idea what it is, and Google really didn't help much. Also, I realize I've neglected to mention that Miguel and Emily have a son named Cristobal, but yeah, he's a thing. Anyway, the guard arrives without Emily and Cristobal. Miguel screams, "Where are they?" as the guard reveals that Emily is gone, but requested that Miguel get these, as he opens his hand to reveal a few pills of Xanax and Emily's wedding ring. Emily's seen with Cristobal knocking on Aaron's door and telling her that, "I need you." Gilly storms Meth Mountain single-handedly and rescues Coco, burning down quite a few crackhead trailers in the process. Coco refuses to leave without Hope, who hugs him goodbye and tells him that Isaac will never let her go with him. Coco and Gilly begin to leave as Butterfly, wanting no more violence, gives them a window to go before they're gunned down. Isaac whispers to Hope that he's going to hate watching her burn when Coco returns and shoots Isaac right in the throat. Gilly guns down Isaac's meth head girlfriend, and the locals arm themselves before Butterfly intervenes. Wishing to prevent any more violence, he says it's over and allows Coco, Gilly, and Hope to leave unharmed. Back at the clubhouse for our final scene, Taza tells Bishop everything. Bishop, in shock, tries to come to terms with the fact that Taza killed Riz and instigated a war just to cover up the fact that he was gay. And Taza tearfully regrets all the events that came as a result of that, claiming he never thought this many people would get hurt as a result of it. He passes Bishop a gun, closes his eyes, and tells him to do what he needs to do.
He's a pole smoker.
Yeah, it's only two things that'll get you kicked out of a club. Egregious drug use and being gay.
How do you explain gay clubs?
There are no gay clubs. Gay motorcycle clubs. sitting outside alone when a bang is heard. He looks up to see multiple Molotov cocktails coming over the wall leading into the clubhouse. Easy readies his gun as we pan out to see about 4 dozen Mayans, led by Conche, wielding weapons and angry as hell, trying to tear the gate leading to the Santo Padre clubhouse down, and holy that is a wrap. Needless to say, I absolutely love this season, even more on the rewatch. The way all these events click together and every single scene matters in the bigger picture was done phenomenally. It's all so wonderfully stitched together. The cinematography is also absolutely gorgeous. Every episode feels more like a film rather than an episode of a TV series. And we finally, after damn near 2 full seasons of no character growth or development, get to know the rest of this club. They all get a little more fleshed out. Characters like Bishop and Taza and Creeper especially get a load of backstory, and they really step into the spotlight, and I adored every bit of new information we found out about them. Yes, including the gay side story was done well. I don't care if it's in there as long as it's done well.
He's an acid-blooded homo, but it's done well.
Yeah.
Same thing I said about Penguin in the Gotham show.
I don't know, Penguin from the Gotham show looked like he fucked kids or something.
Even the side characters, despite that most of them are killed off throughout the run of this season, really come into their own. I couldn't even tell you Peña or Palomo's names prior to watching this season. And the new characters, good God, they are absolutely phenomenal. Aaron, Steve, Isaac, there is not a miss in the bunch. Strong, emotional, raw performance dominate this season. Every single actor is in this thing to play, and every single person on this set, whether in front of the camera or behind the camera, is giving their A game. Not like us.
Oh, I thought you were talking about us.
No. There wasn't a single second where I felt cheapened or taken out of the experience. And my hat's off to Holland Roden, J.R. Bourne, Richard Cabral, Michael Irby, and Clayton Cardenas, especially for being standouts amongst an already phenomenal cast. Elgin James has really solidified his name as a showrunner, writer, and producer, and any fear I had that he would do injustice to the show is long gone. I've been waiting about 11 months to see how this cliffhanger resolves, and I cannot wait to jump back into the world of Mayans M.C. With Season 3, I really feel like the show came into its own and crawled out from the shadow of Sons of Anarchy. Obviously, their universe is shared, so it's always going to be a little difficult to mention one without mentioning the other. But I truly feel that Mayans has carved out its own spot and has its own legs to stand on. And it is far and away not just a Chicano version of Sons of Anarchy. With Season 4, I firmly believe that it could do more than just carve out its own spot, but elevate itself to the level of reverence and quality of its predecessor. So please, if you like what you've heard, you like what you've seen, and you're a fan, don't forget to catch Season 4 premiering April 19th and take that wild ride. And hey, who knows, maybe I can get a retrospective done on Season 4 before Season 5 premieres. I've been Fatman for ZeitgeistOG. Thank you very much for watching this and for sticking all the way to the end. I know this was a long one, but I really do appreciate you guys watching. If you do watch Mayans, let me know. And if you did come into it, did you come into it as its own thing, or were you a fan of Sons of Anarchy? Because believe it or not, I've heard some accounts from people that just randomly clued in. Let me know what you think of Mayans so far. Will you continue watching? Who's your favorite character? Let's have a discussion. Not enough people are talking about this show. I will catch you all next time.